Well, hello there, everybody. I am so excited about the person that I am about to introduce to you today. He is inspiration in action. Talk about, I think, probably the biggest buzzword that we have heard over the last year is the new normal, right? This man has the most extraordinary story that he is going to share what his new normal became. He has so many credits to his name. I'm going to probably let him share his story and what happened, but he has won a silver medal at the Paralympics here in Australia in Sydney 2000. He has represented the US Army world-class athlete program. He's had 9 gold medals, I believe, in that. He has a plethora of stories and amazing achievements. So with absolutely no further ado, I'm going to introduce you to John Register, my dear, dear friend and speaking buddy over there in Colorado, where I'm guessing it is probably snowing right now.
I am in Colorado, Catherine. It's so great to see you in the land down under. Good day, mate.
You do that so well. The amount of people that don't do that and watch it, but you've had a little bit of practice because you've been here.
Just a little bit, and I have the hardware to prove it. Got that over in Sydney.
That. Yeah. Oh, so is it snowing over there at the moment?
No, well, not where I am. I'm in Colorado Springs, and Colorado Springs is kind of a funky area where the snow kind of skirts us to the north. And we don't get all the heaviness of it. So we get over 300 days of sunshine, and we get to watch and see Pikes Peak Mountain with all the snow-capped mountains right there. So the snow stays up there, and we get to look at it. It looks really beautiful. So it may go down really cool in the evening time, maybe to 0 Celsius, and then it goes nuts in the daytime. So it gets,
so
it gets really warm.
You don't have to do a whole lot of shoveling.
No, we just let the sun come out. Natural.
I know when I moved to Colorado, I was amazed to hear that Colorado gets, and I know around the Denver area, gets more sunshine than LA.
Yep, right. Yeah, it's I guess because of the how the airstream works, we just don't get all the cloud cover. It's really, we're high elevation. It's kind of like a high desert almost.
Yeah, a mile high.
Yeah. So we sit at about in feet. It's about 5,800 to 6,000 feet in Colorado Springs, and our highest peak mountain is 14,414 feet. So yeah.
Wow. Well, I miss you all back there, but I must say I am grateful I'm back here in Australia. But I really want to talk about you and the extraordinary journey that you've been on that has brought you to here, and what your new normal really had to become. I mean, we've all been forced to create a new normal, but your new normal, I mean, that yours is kind of off the Richter scale. So talk us through. You were this amazing athlete in college, and you were doing all sorts of events. Tell us what events you were competing in.
So I ran track and field for the University of Arkansas, and Arkansas is probably one of those powerhouse schools in track and field. It wasn't at the time we were starting to build the program. So I ran the 110-meter high hurdles, the long jump, and I also ran the 4x400 meter, or we call the mile relay team. So those are my kind of disciplines at Arkansas, and I earned 3 All-American honors while I was running. And then also after I graduated, I went to the Olympic trials in 1988 in both the long jump and the 110-meter high hurdles. But because I was trying to get out of school, I really didn't have a great senior year sports-wise, because I was trying to focus on my academics and get out, because I know I didn't want to stay in another year for school. When I got out, I still had track and field out of my system. I wanted to continue to run. See, what could I do if I really dedicated myself for a quad, a 4-year process, and see where that would wind up. And the Army, the United States Army, had a world-class athlete program. They still have it. And it allows a soldier athlete to train for the Olympic Games prior to the next games coming. All you have to do is have a recommendation by your national governing body of sport. Well, I was in the Olympic trials in 2 different sports. I said, I can make that. I should be able to do that. That's a no-brainer. Let me just see if I can make that team. And I did. I went to the military. I actually wound up making the Armed Forces Championship, and then was selected to the Army's World Class Athlete Program team. So I thought it was gravy trains. Everything's cool. It's awesome. It's going to be great. And then Saddam Hussein started getting wild over in the Gulf region, Southwest Asia. And I went and was called, instead of going to Presidio San Francisco, I was going to do my training. I got called to serve in Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So all those plans were gone. Became a combat veteran in the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, the first kind of Gulf War that we had. And when I returned from there, I was just too out of sorts to really run the high hurdles. I still had enough time, I thought, to kind of make a team, but I was going to have to switch events because I just couldn't run the hurdles, the highs. That's a timing event. It's a rhythm event. And if you get out of the rhythm for any period of time, just like swimming, it's a rhythm event. So it takes a little bit of time to get that back. And I didn't have the window of time to actually, to do it, get fast, fit and fast. So I switched to 400-meter hurdles, which is one time around the track over 10 obstacles spaced 35 meters apart, with a 45-meter run into the first hurdle and a 40-meter run off of the last hurdle. And I did very well in that event to the point where I made the Olympic standard so I could qualify for the Olympic trials, and then finished 17th in my 6th race ever in that event. And I knew that was my race. So I was going to give myself another 4 years in the military, and then I was going to just put the hammer down and try to become one of the top 3 Americans to make the Olympic Games, which would have been this time in Atlanta, Georgia, competing on my home soil in the United States.
And was that going to be like, what year would that have been? The 1996?
96 was Atlanta. Yeah. So it was right before Sydney. And as I was training, Catherine, I was on top of the world, really. I loved the military. It was fantastic. I was making rank and I was making friends, and it was kind of really pretty easy. It was just like life, but just with a military uniform on, and that was even easy, right? And my closet was only one uniform, so I thought I got up in the morning, I just put the uniform on, and out the door I go. And then on May 17th, 1994, I misstepped a hurdle in the 400-meter hurdles. I landed awkwardly, which snapped my left leg in half. It hyperextended, and as I fell, it dislocated, and my left knee was over my right knee and over my right leg, and canted back in an awkward position where my foot was touching the black surface of the track. And that's when I knew it was pretty much life as I knew it as a sports person was probably over.
And so what happened? What became your new normal, and how did you cope? Because my channel is called The Inner Game of Winning, and I want to hear how you coped. Well, what happened first, and then how did you get through that, and what was going on up here?
So before I kind of get into that, can I share? I think I can share the screen, right?
Of course you can. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to show your audience what's going on in that moment, so they can see what I was dealing with. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to share this photograph real quick. If you can just kind of push that up there. And see what's going on in this photograph is you'll see my foot is on the black surface of the track. If you come up the shin bone, that's where you'll see the protruding of the femur, the head of the femur, trying to push out from the leg. That looks like an elbow, but it's not. It's the dislocation of the knee. Ugh. And my patella is in the discolored, about 3 inches kind of downward to the south of that, where that head of the femur bone is. On the bottom left of the picture, you see my head. My friend Dino, his head is on my head. Ben Curigan has his hand cradled underneath my head. And I'm supposed to go to officer candidate school with him. And then if you see the person with the watch on, her name is Roz, and she's holding on to my hand. And I have no idea whose ashy legs those are with the Bermuda shorts. So I Can't see that. So that's kind of gives you a picture of what it is. And then I'll chat with you about this new normal mindset. So you get rid of that screen now for.
Oopsie, sorry, I could have done that. I'm learning.
It's all good. It's good to talk
there we
about
go. There's a better picture, but yeah, okay. So we're going to take that one off. Wow.
So the new normal, right, is this. A lot of people are sick of the term the new normal. And I get it. I understand why, because they're using it in two different ways, primarily. One is saying a past statement. I can't wait till we get back to normal.
Yeah.
That's one way we say it. That's the way the mind's thinking. The second way the mind's thinking about it is this. Well, I guess this is our new normal. It's a present state, but there's nothing else I can do about it. So I might as well just suffer through the new normal. And that's really not what it is. In my life, I was going down kind of this downward spiral of identity. Who am I now? How am I showing up? Is my wife going to stick around? Will my son still see me as his dad with this new amputated leg? And that's really not what I was saying. Because my wife comes over, she says to me, you know what, John, we're going to get through this together. It's just our new normal. So I've been using the term the new normal since 2020.
Your wife has been using this term way before anyone else on the planet.
Before. I should have marketed it or got an IPO.
Yes, you could have trademarked this thing.
Trademark it. So I've been using this term since 2000, right? At least before that, 1994, 1995, I've been using this term. And so I realized, like, the Olympic motto of Sidious, Altius, Fortius, swifter, higher, stronger, that those words that were penned in 776 BC and have been inspiring Olympians and Paralympians since that time are not written in the superlative of the word. It's not the highest form of the word. It's not swiftest, highest, or strongest. But the words are written with this ER stem ending, that we can have the best performance and be the swiftest today, yet we can be swifter tomorrow. We can jump the highest today and jump higher tomorrow. We can lift the heaviest weight today, lift heavier weight tomorrow. And so I ask, you in the audience, what is your ER stem ending? That's going to push you to the next level. Because if Olympians and Paralympians are training 4 years from today, the way they're training today, they've already lost the gold medal. Don't even show up to compete. I mean, you can't train the same way. So we're always in flux. So the new normal is not a destination as I can't wait till things get back to normal. That's gone. Or this is our new normal. That is we got to get past that statement, right? The new normal then is not a destination at all. It's only a plateau by which we grow.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. A plateau by which we grow.
A plateau by which we grow.
That's massive.
We reach plateau and then we grow. We reach another plateau and then we grow. It always elevates. We're always trying to get a little bit higher, a little bit better, because it's that ER stem ending that's on it. So we never camp out at a place. You get there, you celebrate, and you elevate, right?
Yeah.
You celebrate and elevate. Celebrate, elevate. Keep on going.
I told people there's going to be some gold nuggets coming out of your mouth, and you're not disappointing. So let's continue on the journey. So your wife says, we'll get through this, John. And then what happened? So
it's easy to say now you go on and you go off and wow, let's win the silver medal. No.
No.
Once you made a commitment, now the work begins. Now the work begins. We think it's going to be easy just because we made a commitment. I often will say to audiences when I'm speaking that we have this vision, right? We get a glimpse of truth. We get a glimpse of the truth, what can happen in our life, but it's not all the way there. It's not formulated, but we know it's better than this other fears that we've had, this fear of myself and who am I now, fear of others, other people believing for me what I can or cannot do, which is based and rooted upon what they believe they could or could not do if they were in my situation, or society dictating to me what they believe I should be thinking about. Am I thinking myself as a person with a disability because of Captain Hook? Captain Hook's got a claw for an arm, and he's in the movie Peter Pan scaring the Lost Boys. But wait a minute,
Yeah.
I'm an amputee. Am I the one that's scaring people now? So we have these things that society tells us and we believe, which drives our fears. Once our truth outweighs the fear, we will commit to a courageous life. We will commit to courageous acts. So you can just put that in the box, right? Once truth outweighs fear, ... When truth outweighs fear, ... And you determine what that is for you, but it's always making a jump, and the jump is your jump. The jump only you can do. Only the individual can make the jump. No one else can make the jump for them. You have to commit to it. I don't care how many books you read, 10 points on this, 5 points on that, 7 series on this. No one can make you do it. It's up to you to make the choice. And that's the hardest part, because we want people to do that step for us. Can't happen. Only you can commit to that. Only your mind can do that.
So you start your process. You commit to embracing this new identity. And how did that show up? You started.
Well, how it shows up is in the action. And so the first action, like I said, was not to win the medal. The first action was, okay, I've had this amputated leg. The first thing I need to do is stand on my good leg for 15 seconds. Swing my leg off the hospital bed, stand up on my good leg, try to make it for 15 seconds. I get to 10, it starts shaking, I sit back down. I wait another 15, 20 minutes, swing my leg over the bed again, stand up on the good leg, start shaking, I sit back down, 12 seconds. Another 15, 20 minutes, I swing my leg back over the bed, stand up, start shaking, 18 seconds. Celebrate, new goal, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Learn how to manipulate a wheelchair. The wheelchair is not as my mate over there, Dylan Alcott, says. Yeah. It's not a confinement. The wheelchair is a liberator. He's playing on Rod Laver Court in Melbourne, right? So he's not being confined to that chair. He's actually liberated to play wheelchair tennis on, as one of the best players ever of the game. In his chair, right? So it's a liberator. It's liberated him to have talk shows. It's liberated him to have to be on, to meet the prime minister. It's liberated him to do all types of things with get skilled access, right? Around the world. And so the wheelchair doesn't confine us. So we have to stop using those terminologies. Oh, I'm so sorry that you're confined to your wheelchair. No, I had to learn how to manipulate a wheelchair so I could actually make it to my prosthetic appointments.
Yeah.
And then when I get to the prosthetic appointment, now I have to learn how to don an artificial leg. And I have to walk between the parallel bars to make sure I'm safe. And then from the parallel bars to 4-bar walker. So I can walk around the hospital with this walker. So I'm safe. And then from the walker to crutches. And then from the crutches to a cane. And from the cane to free walking. And then free walking, I learned how to swim. And then from swimming, learning how to run. And running to jumping. Jumping then to a silver medal. That process took 6 years.
Hold on a minute. You just bypassed something really I found fascinating when I was reading all about your story, John, and that is you were swimming as part of your rehabilitation. And didn't your coach say, hey, have you considered trying out for the US Paralympic team?
Yeah, well, he did. He said, have you considered the Paralympic Games? And I was like, what's that? Had no idea what this was. I was swimming for physical therapy, but had no idea there was this parallel path of athletic sport. Why would I have known about that?
True.
It's not a household name. I'm thinking maybe Special Olympics. That's a household name. But why parallel? I don't even know what that even means. Paraplegics. Maybe this is for people in wheelchairs. So it's not. It's actually the parallel games to the Olympics.
Yes.
Who knew? So
well, we did in Australia, but you clearly didn't. Yeah.
I did not know. I mean, it's been going on since 1960. 1948 it starts, but 1960 the first games in Rome. But I don't know about that because that's not my world.
Yes, your focus was on the Olympics.
The Olympics, right? I don't know there's another opportunity out there. I know Special Olympics, that's because I've seen that, but I haven't seen this.
So what happened?
So what happened? I get faster and faster in the water. So I'm not going to make the Paralympic swim team. That's an out. I'm not going to do it because I need to shave off 7 seconds off my swim time. I need a 106 flat to make the team, and I wind up training in the water, getting faster and faster. My goal was to make this trials, just to make the trial standard, because that would give me a mark. It would just give me an azimuth to shoot to get better and back in shape. So I go to the swim trials. I'm doing all this. Here's a great thing for the mind. When I was training, I was using all my hurdle techniques for the pool of going over races in my mind. So I close my eyes and do mental races, visualization techniques. And I kept getting faster in the water as I would, use my stop clock, and I would time myself every race for 100 meters. And I was getting faster and faster. I would get in the water. I was getting faster too. And so I swam not 106, but I swam 106.01 for the 100 meters. I was ecstatic. I was like, oh my gosh, I went 7 seconds faster than when I first got in the pool. I was like off the charts. I can't believe I just did that. I didn't really know how to swim that great, right? And I got a coach, and I started learning, and I started studying, and shaved 7 seconds off 100 meters.
7 seconds off 100 is extraordinary.
It's extraordinary.
I peak performance coached a beautiful dwarf swimmer, and she shaved 6 seconds off her 200 meters individual medley. And her coach came to me and said, Catherine, I don't know what you're doing, but please, come work with my elite squad, because 6 seconds off that sort of an event is unheard of.
Right.
And so, what you were doing and what I'm doing with athletes is very, very similar. And so I just love this, because people don't, they go, how can that happen? But it can, because of visualizing. Tell me about how you visualize, because people visualize differently depending on their learning style. Are you primarily a visual person?
I am a visual person. When I have to see things, and I pull pieces together, right? So I'm very visual. But what I do now in anything, if I'm going out for a speech, I'll ask to see the room. Send me a snapshot of the room first.
Yes.
Not from the stage going this, looking at the stage, but the stage out to the audience. So I want to see what I'm going to be seeing.
You're going to be seeing.
Where's the exit sign? Where is the aisles? How's it going to be set up? Is it in rounds? Is it eights? All those things I have in my head of where people are going to be positioned, so I can see that. In swimming, I was swimming in the pool, so I was getting the physical of it, but I was also traveling a lot for my job. So I would be on planes, and I would have my little watch on, and I would just close my eyes, and I'd already had a snapshot of the natatorium in Indianapolis where the event would take place. So, and I'd been in there, and I had felt the water, so I knew what the temperature was, or at least was expected. And I would think about, okay, the coolness and how the water hits my body, and what's going to do when I have no hair on my arms for when I shave down, and how I want to get a nice streamline off the blocks, and how long can I get that streamline out? When do I start kicking and dolphin kicking so I come to the water up to the top? Because it's a little bit different with one leg, right? With kicking up than with two legs. So I'm trying to focus on how I'm going to do all those things together. How's my stroke going to be? How long should I put? Where's the catch? Where's the push? Where's the pull? The pull and the push off the backside. How do I flick the back of my suit to make sure I've done the full extension of the arm in the back? I'm rotating my body side to side, so I'm knifing through the water and not being a barge because I'm so broad shouldered here. So I'm really stretching forward and turning. And I'm doing all this in my mind's eye, the flip turn at the other side of the end. And I always have my eyes closed. I'm hearing the rush of the water going through my ears. And then I get to the end and I stop my watch, right? I touch the wall, I stop the watch. And I was getting every time I did it, like 106, 107, 105, 106. And it just came to be that when I went to the pool that day, to try to qualify for the Paralympic Games, that I swam that 106.01. And I attribute it to, I did get in the water and I had to swim, but the visualization technique had me swim more races and get those reps in more than I could have ever done. The interesting thing, which I did not know, because I left before the team was named, because I didn't think I made it, right? But in the 100-meter dash, 100-meter freestyle, or in a 100-meter race, the flip turn at the other end actually counts as a bona fide time for an event. So I actually had a time that was underneath the qualifying time in the 50 meters. So I legitimately made the team, and the coaches picked me up for the relay.
Amazing.
I didn't even know.
What I loved about when you were describing how you visualize, because I think this is really important for people to know. Yes, you are primarily visual, but you covered all the senses. What you were seeing, what you were hearing, how you were feeling, and all the auditory digital details. All right. The details of where your body was, how it was, what the turn looked like, all those things. And I think that's where people don't understand. They go, oh, I'm not very visual, I can't visualize. You've got to try to find the ways that you visualize best, but to cover all the senses. You know, what's the one that jump starts you? For me, it's kinesthetic. I've got to start with feeling, then go visual. You maybe go visual, then kinesthetic, auditory digital, whatever. But I think that we've got to put all of those in and tie them up with a bow when we're visualizing, because as tiny babies, we are all of those senses. Yep. And we still are. And I think that that's where people that are not being taught how to visualize, and their coaches just say, oh, just visualize. Yep, but they don't realize the intricacies of explaining what's your learning style, and let's make sure we jumpstart with your preferred learning style first, and then we juice it up with all the others as well.
Sure. I mean, you can even do in arenas, you know, what's the smell?
Yes.
Is it popcorn? Is it hot dogs? Is it, you know, I don't know, whatever the smell might be in there. The chlorine in the water or the bromide, whatever it is.
And the taste, exactly. The taste of the chlorine and the taste of success. And yeah.
Yeah. So you can put all those together. The mind is incredible. And you can run race after race after race. Even, you know, when the starter says, you know, this will blow your mind too, what I found in resilience, right? We always talk about resilience. Resilience is a 10-letter word. And what I found is I put there are 10 hurdles in a hurdle race. So I just try to make I've come up with an acronym that helps me when I'm kind of feeling a little out of sorts, to put what am I missing out of my resilient words that I need to do. But usually the first thing I really need to do is found inside of the word resilience. So so the starter says quiet for the start, or the announcer says quiet for the start, and yes. I can run multiple races even in my head when the starter says that, and visualize how I'm going to come out of the blocks maybe for a 100-meter dash race or a hurdle race.
Yeah.
Inside the word resilience resides the word silence.
Oh, it does too. I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah. So that's what I say in my presentations to people is where do you find your moments of putting yourself in those spaces? Where do you do your best creative learning? Where do the ideas come from? When the ideas kind of like the flood, and you say, oh my gosh, I need a notebook to take that down. Where does that happen for you? Is it in the shower? Is it in the restroom? Is it when you're brushing your teeth? Is it on a car, on a bike ride? Where does that happen for you? And then create those moments for yourself. Put yourself in those moments where you know you're going to be creative in that spot, and make sure you have a notepad or you got your cell phone with you or something that you can record those thoughts.
Yes. Yeah. I have notepads in the shower. There are these things called aqua notes, and because I get ahas in the shower, and I checked it years ago. A psychotherapist said to me, oh, the reason you do that, you know, is because when you're in water, it reminds you of being in the womb. And so you're in touch with your unconscious. And so I have these things called love notes, and I write things down and I put them on, and I also have my affirmations on these little aqua notes in the shower, because then I see them first thing in the morning when I wake up.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I need to get some aqua notes too, because sometimes my thoughts will come there too, and I'm looking to dry myself off and write down a thought.
Exactly. Get out. I need to write that one down. So So I could talk to you for days, John, but I want to get to, so you made the swim team, which, you know, hello, you were training. Let's just get this straight. You were aspiring to being on the 1996 Olympic team.
Right.
You have this incredibly tragic incident happen, this accident, and in your rehabilitation program, you go, oh, okay, well, I was going in this direction. Now I'm going in this direction. And it's interesting because I spoke about this when I interviewed someone, Chris Natsky, the other day. I dreamt of being a dancer and then I gave up on my dream, but my dream didn't give up on me. And it's almost like your dream didn't give up on you. And it went, well, you didn't make the swim team, but you did. It's like, right. And then, and tell us then what happened, because this is incredible.
Well, it was my dream. That was not my dream. But
that wasn't your dream, but what happened?
The dream was to run track and field and compete in the Olympic Games, right? Exactly. That was the dream. This was like a detour. And I had blocked the other thing because I didn't think it was a possibility. So now I'm just getting that out of my mind. I'm just swimming for physical therapy because I want to get back in shape. So I blocked all that stuff. So I couldn't harm me anymore. I can't do it. So therefore, why think about it? So let's block it. But as I'm doing that, I see athletes running on the track at the Paralympic Games in '96. And I was like, that's a thing? You can actually do that? They have these artificial legs. One guy's, he's running down the long jump runway. He hits the takeoff board, leaps in the air, and at the height of his flight, his artificial leg flies off. He lands here, artificial leg lands about 3 feet up in front of him. Everybody does exactly what you did. Like, but he turns back to the officials and says, where are you going to measure my jump from? From right here, my artificial leg landed up there. So I think it's a brilliant attitude to have, right?
Yeah.
So I began to, that was the first inkling of this shift of perspective, that here I am doing something very excellent in the pool, but I'm not doing the excellent thing I'm designed to do, that I know I'm supposed to do. And when I see that, it clicks, not only for me, but my wife, who's watching me watch this long jumper, is no longer watching long jumper. She's looking at me in my face, and she knows what I'm thinking. Right. I am no longer in Atlanta, Georgia. I am now trying to figure out how I'm going to get to Sydney, Australia, 4 years from now on the long jump runway. And my mind has shifted. I'm now on a different track. I got this race to do in the swimming. And I'm going to get through that. I'm going to finish my obligation, but I am now dialed in on this thing over here. How do I do this? And that's when we have the vision. We have the inkling of the vision begins. And do we have the courage to commit to the courageous life? And so that's, you can put that slide up there too. So that slide says, you know, when truth outweighs our fear, we commit to a courageous life. When truth outweighs fear, we commit to a courageous life. And that's the issue. Sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. And we have this climb that comes up from that. When I start training, there's some things that I have to have in the kit bag in order to elevate. I don't know how to run on artificial leg, so I have to relearn how to run. I don't know how to jump, run or jump. So I'm learning this artificial leg process, and that took about 2 years to learn all of those things so I could actually put it together in the final year that I was training in order to try to make the team. And I got fit, I got fast, and I realized that something else that I didn't know, that because I was a true above knee amputee, that means my leg is missing above my knee, and not a through the knee amputee, which means the leg is kind of is amputated kind of through the knee joint. You still don't have a knee joint to operate, but you have a platform which you can weight bear on.
Right.
And in biomechanics, if you have a shorter lever that can pound the ground faster, you can turn over faster, you get more stride length, more stride frequency. That through the knee is going to be able to outperform the true above knee every time, because I weight bear by my pelvic muscle, my pelvic bone. So I lose about a foot of power So I can't compete in 100 meters or 200 meters. It's physically impossible, biomechanically impossible, right? And unless I'm just a superior, I've outdistanced and made the gap up because I'm a superior athlete. That's the only way I can do it.
Yeah.
I have to be super, but these guys are great. They're good. Earl Connor, all from Canada, you got Lucas Christian from Switzerland. These guys have been competing for a long time. They know their equipment, but they don't know how to long jump. That's a technical skill. And I can make the distance up in that technical event.
Right.
I have to figure out how to jump off the other leg. So again, mindset has to shift. So I take every single thing I did when I was a 27-foot long jumper, 8 meters, 30 something, in Arkansas, and I put it into the long jump for the Paralympic Games in Sydney. And I jumped 1 centimeter less than the world record. And Lucas, who wound up winning that day, he knew it. I mean, he knew I was like the only one in that competition that was going to come for him.
Wow.
He saw me coming, and he knew he was gonna have to break his world record in order to beat me. And I was coming hard for him, right?
And but you actually made a US record in the process, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It still stands because they changed the whole category. But yeah, I set the American record in the process, and still hold the American record in the long jump for T42 in that era of time. Yeah. So it's pretty crazy.
Insane. Like, yeah, as I said at the very, very beginning, your story of embracing change, resilience, facing your fears, rising above your fears, creating a totally new paradigm for how you do your life. If this interview does not inspire every single person listening, I just don't understand. It's incredible. So these days you speak and coach and train. You work with the Paralympians, the US Paralympian teams.
Well, so I work with individual athletes a lot. Some will call me. I worked for the Olympic Committee for 15 years. And I built out a couple of programs that got international notoriety. One is the Paralympic Military Sport Program. That turned into what we call in the United States, our Warrior Games. And Warrior Games, of course, turned into Invictus Games that Prince Harry runs. And of course, that would happen in Sydney. So that was that program right there came out of the program I started back when I was doing injured military service member programs. So he came over actually to the United States in 2013, Prince Harry did, to open up our games. But I also went to Loughborough University in England to talk about how I was building this military sport program out, which garnered the attention of him, and begin to think about how they could do this international competition. Because my goal has always been kind of larger than the Invictus Games of what I wanted to do. So and so we're still working on trying to get some of those things actually off the ground and done. But we can see where it goes. Now it's the legacy piece, right? How do we take that inner game of winning and go and leave legacy for other individuals, so that they can have the mindset to win as well.
And so you have your own show, which is called Amputate the Fear. Yep. And you interview lots of amazing athletes, and you have a brand new book out. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, thanks. So the book is called 10 Power Stories to Impact Any Leader. Journal Your Way to Leadership Success. It's on, I think, Kindle right now, and we're getting the hard copy done as we speak. And we have a journal to go along with it. And the reason I wrote it was because I always try to see, how can I work myself out of a job? Right? That's the biggest thing. How can I be give so much value that I work myself out of a job? And so people invite me to come in and speak to their organizations, and when they do, they ask these questions around, well, here, or they give me these nuggets. Say, well, here's our values, and here's our mission, and can you weave a story and put this together? Well, I want that executive to be able to do the same thing, because you can't bring me in there every single time. So let me help you get your stories together. So I'll start with a group of my 10 stories, and I have at the end of that chapter, here's some suggestions that you can do of what you heard that might spark a story that you know, so that when a period of trauma comes, like COVID, race relations, or whatever it might be, political, you have a story that you now can bring forward, and you don't need me to come in there and talk about it. I might be able to come in an accident, but you have the story that you know that you can tell right in the moment. And you got to rehearse, it's done, and you become the leader because that's who you're supposed to be in that area. Yeah. So that's the 10 power stories to impact any leader, and that's why I wrote that book during COVID.
And that's, if they go to your website, which is going along the bottom of the screen at the moment, John, I believe you can click on a link there and it will take you to be able to buy it on Kindle.
I believe so. Yep. I don't know that back end stuff. I think it should. If it doesn't, let me know.
I went to the website last night and it's definitely there, and you can get it through there. Yeah. So that is amazing. So,
and then we're all virtual, so there's a book me now button too. So if you have a client that's out there that we want to talk and have this a deeper conversation, whether it's training or a keynote, we're virtual. I can be in Sydney and
exactly. It's only an 8-hour difference. We happen to be a day ahead, but it's only 8-hour difference. So it's super easy. So in closing, I want to ask you, what would you say to your younger self? What would you say to your teenage self?
I don't know what I would say to my teenage self. I usually, when I think about that question, it always kind of goes forward, right? It's what would I tell myself today from myself that is maybe 30 years down the road.
Right.
So what do I, because I can use that. I can use that information. And one of the things I've been really thinking hard about is, at the end of my days, I had a brilliant person. She showed me, she said, for your business, John, I was in a veterans class for business. And she says, what do you think the most important question is to ask about your business? And I said, I don't know, marketing, contacts. She said, no. So the most important question to ask about your business is, how are you going to dispose of the business? How are you going to let it go? How are you going to wrap it up? I was like, wow, that's profound. Because that assumes that you have been successful in the business. Yes. And now you can either put it on the stock exchange, or you can bequeath it to your children, or you can just close the doors, right? There's so many opportunities. How are you going to set it up? So now I can make the smarter decisions in order to set myself up for how I wanted to shut my business down or keep it going on in perpetuity. So I began asking myself the same questions, like about 3 or 4 months later. How do I want to end my life? And I said, okay, I'm a person of faith, I'm Christian. And I said, I want at the end of my life to hear my God say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of my rest. And if that's the case, then how do I live my life now in order to hear those words? So it takes me out of myself, and it really puts me into service for other individuals.
Yeah.
And to say, I really desire for other people to elevate. I want to see them successful, because only they can unlock their full potential to unlock others. We are designed to do a very specific thing in this world. And if we're always looking to try to do what everybody else is doing, we'll never get our thing done that we were placed here and put here to do. So my mantra then became, go forth, inspire your world.
Yeah.
Those 5 words. It's a fist. It's a power punch. Why? Because go is our command.
It's action.
Forth is our direction. Inspire is our vocation. Only you can do it. It's your DNA. The jump is your jump. And world, because it's your sphere of influence. Go forth. Inspire your world.
You're going to write that one down.
Yeah. So that's the mantra I came up with, live by. And to make sure I'm always doing that for others, but also for myself, that every day is going to live inspired. I used to hate the word inspiration because it kind of was like fluffy. It was like but it's actually the catalyst word. It's a catalytic word. Inspiration is a catalyst to motivation.
Exactly. It moves you forward.
It moves you. Right. And then motivation in turn causes actions. Actions lead us to transformational results. And these results, they re-inspire us or allow someone else that's watching the process to catch their vision.
I forgot to ask you one important question that I ask everyone that I interview.
Yeah.
And then I promise I'll let you go. So how much of a percentage as an athlete do you feel is physical skill, and how much of it do you believe is actually what's going on up here in your head, your inner game?
That's a good question. You need both, but I think that, okay, let me answer it this way. If you're just kind of trying to get your body ready or just to be generically more fit, yeah, you need the mind, but you want to put the activity in the physical body of just doing the work and making sure you can get up and controlling it. If you're really thinking about high-level athletics, everybody's well-trained. Everybody has great games. Everybody has everything, great coaching. So it's the mental game that plays the greater part. I call them +1 days. That's why I teach my athletes. They hate it. Plus 1 day. And so they know when I say it's a +1 day, it's a day that their competition is not going to train, that they will train. So there's one more day up on them than their competition. Maybe it's raining outside. Maybe it's snowing outside. You got to clear off the track.
Yep.
You know, you're going to do something so that when you line up on that day and it's raining outside, you can say to your mate, "Oh man, I love training the rain. We do this all the time." And that just played an inner game of winning over them because they don't train in the rain. How come it's raining out here? I don't. It's a ripple of disturbance in their mind, and you can just plow right through it.
Yeah, I think you have a very valid point, though. When you reach a particular elite level in any sport or dance, for that matter, because I'm working with performers and athletes.
Yes, yeah.
Tend to be looking at this as well as people in the workplace, but primarily athletes and performers. When you reach that elite level, everybody's brilliant. Everybody's got to be a particular level to be competing on that level. So what is going to give them that extra inch or that extra centimeters if it's a jump, or that extra whatever? It really does have to do with what's up here and how much preparation they've all of the preparation you put in, visualizing that you were going to make that time in the pool, for example. If you'd have just swum up and down without all that visualizing, do you think you would have made it?
No, I don't.
No.
Not at all. I would not have made it. So, because I would have just been exercising, right? Just to kind of do it. There's no goal in mind for the end, except for to stay fit. And that's fine. That's a great goal to have. But when you're talking about elite level sport, as you're saying, everybody's there. So
to different
9 people that make a final.
The others, yeah.
Anybody can win. And they're all are high level. So anyone can win on the given day. What makes first, second, and third? What's the mindset to win first, second, and third?
Yeah.
Because most people that go to the Olympic Games and Paralympic Games, they don't win a medal. They just show up. They're the best in their countries, and they won't win a medal. Not one. You know how difficult it is to win? You know what the percentage is? It's like less than a 0.% of those that start out to win a medal in an event.
Wow.
So what's the mindset that says that you will do that? And then you take the gold medalists. I think sometimes it's you want to have your performance always be elevated, right? So the standard, the normal is always higher than everybody else's, right? You know what par is. And I want to keep on raising par in my mind, or in my performance. I want to make sure that on a bad day, I'm setting world records, or at least American records, Australian records, and on a good day, the world record's gone. So that's where you start. You're not starting, hey, I just showed up. No, we're starting at what the standard is. The last, you look at the last 3 performances that won the medal, and we say that's my benchmark.
That's massive intention. I love that saying that Deepak says, attention energizes, intention transforms. So, setting intention, that's my intention. That's where I'm headed today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter Harbaugh is a sports psychologist here in the United States. He says, attention is the currency of performance. Attention is the currency of performance.
I like that.
Yeah. So 100%.
Well, look, on that note, you have spent so much time with us, and I so appreciate you. I miss you. I wish I could give you a big real hug in real time, but I have to settle for one of these. And as soon as we are able to travel, our Prime Minister is not allowing any Australians out of the country unless we're going over for special work situations. But I will be back to visit as soon as I can.
Well, thank you. It'd be great to get you over here. Let's go ski again.
Oh, I cherish that. I absolutely. Do you know that's the only time I skied, when I was there as well? And I was talking to my housemate, and I went, I had the best time, and I was telling her all about you. And I said, he was flying down the mountain. She's going, hold on a minute. He skis? I went, oh, he doesn't just ski. He flies down that mountain. She was going, oh, my goodness. I said, yeah, you better believe it. So you're on. I will be back to ski.
Awesome. Good. Looking forward to it.
And love to all of the rest of the NSA crowd over there.
Absolutely. And yours as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Ciao now.
Bye for now.
Thanks. Wow. How amazing was that? Gold nuggets left, right, and center. Please comment in the comment section if you're watching live, or even if you're watching it on the replay. What was your biggest takeaway? Because that was, what a man.